Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back. You didn't think you'd see us this early, but wow, there's a lot of FPL action going on in the sort of coming days and weeks, isn't there?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy busy this week. As you can tell, we're already late to this live, as a few of you mentioned in the comments, but we are here now. We're live and direct, and we've got a big guest on this week. He's been on before, but it doesn't mean he's not good enough because he's the best Arsenal guest we've got, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it's the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. It is Glen. Glen, welcome back, mate.
Thank you, man. I'm not sure about being the best, Josh. I've been seeing a lot of FPL juices around, including Ray, so I think he is the best Arsenal fan. But I'm happy to be second. The Ballon d'Or is on tonight. I'm not sure why you guys are not nominated. You should be up there because that's how good you are.
Look at Glen being too nice.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again, man.
That's all right. No problem at all. And we'll just go a little bit into you. If you don't know who Glen is, Glen, can you explain to yourself like sort of who you are, what sort of content you produce around FPL, and we can see you support Arsenal, maybe why you support Arsenal as well.
I've tried to figure out that answer as well. I've never done for the last 15 years. I'm an Arsenal fan, unfortunately or fortunately, from the last 7-8 weeks. I've been supporting Arsenal since around 2005. That's like 16 years. I do content create around Arsenal most of the time. Everything Arsenal is my channel is called, but I do have a second channel where I focus on every other team. Everything football. I do focus on FPL and lots of Champions League fantasy as well. So that's about it.
Yeah, you do a bit of everything. Also, I went on the Glen's channel yesterday as well. We did a little game week preview, a bit of results predictions more than FPL. So make sure you go check that out. All of Glen's links will be down below. We'll get to all your questions and all your teams at the end of the video. We're going to go through ours first, and then we'll talk a bit about everyone else's. A bit of the debates that are going into this game week because it's such a short turnaround. We might see a bit of rotation going on as well. So, Ben, do you want to crack open the lid on your team this week?
Yeah, so I'll show you guys how I did this week. I'm sure if you keep up to date on our socials, you'll know how I did this week. It was a pretty average week, I want to say. A 10k rank rise up to 86k in the world, which is not too bad at all. So we started off in goal. Guaita, I mean, honestly, like, again, they're conceding, but conceding to a low XG. So in my opinion, I think, again, we saw that with Melier. Now he's getting the clean sheet points. But hopefully, Guaita can sort of pick up some more points return. He didn't play too well, so I'm kind of expecting him to sort of prove a point in the next sort of few weeks. In defence, I mean, to be honest, I think I was really unlucky with that Chelsea double up in defence. I think United had, 3 shots on target all night. Rudiger hit the bar. Rudiger had an open goal at the end. So I could have easily come off the back of that with sort of like a Reece James assist and 2 Rudiger goals, which would have been crazy, crazy numbers and potentially, a very big rank rise. But, the fact that, it was a blank means not as many people might bring him in, which is what I'm hoping for. I thought Chelsea played well. It was just that one lapse of concentration, wasn't it, that lost their clean sheet. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 9 points. Don't really need to say much more about him. He's just very, very consistent. Cancelo, it's a bit of a shame we lost the sort of, what was it, 5 points that he was going to be on, and that West Ham clean sheet kind of knocked it all out the park. Probably, maybe a good thing if I only had the one defender from that City back line. If we're looking at other owners like Ruben Dias owners, something like that. In midfield, Smith Rowe, again, he didn't return, but I was impressed by his performance. I thought he played well. Thought Arsenal looked good in general, and the wing back meta, with them Arsenal fullbacks is there. So it'll be interesting to see, like, maybe will I bring in another Arsenal asset? We'll have to wait and see. Rafinha, it's annoying because he's the talisman at Leeds, but Leeds aren't firing and they're kind of missing, a lot of players in that team. So I'm kind of wavering on him. He's got a couple of nice fixtures coming up before a tough run. So I'm probably going to wait with him. Jota, I brought in this week, 14 points. Lovely stuff. What a move. Brought out Foden, brought in Jota. If I didn't bring out Foden, I have a massive headache this week whether to bring him out or not. So I'm kind of glad I did it. Salah, 12 points again. Consistency, doesn't blank. Antonio came off the bench for me for Son. as you know, what happened with the Spurs game, didn't get played. And then Tony rewarding us finally with the 9-pointer. So yeah, not a bad game week in total. Shall I move straight on to what I'm doing this week, or do you guys want to comment on the team first?
No, yeah, we'll go through all our teams, what we had last week, and then we'll come on to the next week. Glenn, what's your thoughts on this one?
How long have you had Tony?
Too long.
Oh, I bought him back in on a wild card in
3 weeks ago.
I've had him since game week 10.
I mean, you've been patient with him because there's some people who've had him the whole season. You've been patient with him. I've definitely not considered any Brentford as him. And Bremo, I don't feel like they've been fine. I think that was his first goal at home. So I'm happy for you that you kept patience with him. The rest of the team looks good, especially Jota tripling up on Liverpool. A lot of people, because Salah is basically not a differential. If you have Salah, everyone else has him. So getting on Jota, who I was supposed to get into this week, but I didn't. I think it's a decent team going forward as well. And also going into the Christmas period, you need players who are guaranteed to play. And I think there are a few there who could definitely play, like Salah, Antonio, I think Rudiger. So I think you're set up nicely for December.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It looks like a solid team. That Jota transfer was really good. If I was honest, I weren't looking at bringing in Jota this week because just Firmino's still out, and it was the right move to go with, especially with Foden not even making the bench. It looks incredibly unlikely that he would even be in the team for midweek. So it's one of those ones. But I'll move on to my team. Similar to Ben's, obviously, because we did wildcard in the same week. So I scored a big 70 points this week. Really happy with that. Moves me up to 11,300th in the world. So we're 2 points outside the top 10K. We got Sanchez in net with the 8-pointer. He actually got some save points and a bonus, which is an absolute miracle, which is lovely after he coming back from suspension. Reece James, the 1-pointer, he looked kind of dangerous, but then he got moved out to left wing back at one stage. They put Pulisic at right wing back. Sort of disrupted his creativity really in terms of him getting his crosses in. The big man himself, Van Dijk, he's been getting slandered since I brought him in on the wild card. He turns up with that 15-pointer, a goal, a clean sheet, and 3 bonus. It was about time, to be honest. I was looking at getting him out for Alonso. I decided to stick with him because I didn't want to go to Jota this week. And it paid off quite big with that 15-pointer there. Trent, as you mentioned, 9-pointer, same as always, same with Salah. These two are just must-haves in your FPL team. Cancelo, 1-pointer, obviously 90th minute goal, Lanzini. Bit disappointing, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And like you mentioned, it's probably not necessarily a bad thing when Cancelo doesn't get an attack and return and they lose the clean sheet. Livramento on the 0. He didn't start. I had 2 players come out of my starting 11, which were Son and Foden. I didn't really expect Foden to play, so hence why we'll get on to the guy who came off the bench for him. Rafinha with a 3. I agree with what you're saying, Ben. I just don't know if I want him anymore, to be honest. Leeds just don't really look good going forward at the minute. And also there's James Maddison at that price, 6.6 million. He's looking quite tasty. Leicester have some decent games going forward as well. Mo Salah captain, as always. People are asking what's your best captaincy choice for next week. It's going to be Mo Salah until he goes to AFCON. That's pretty much set for me, I think. He's just so good. He's so reliable. Even if he only gets an assist, you just guarantee the captain return. So you can't complain with that. Gallagher, 2-pointer. It's the first week he's blanked for me so far. Really still played quite well. I think Palace did. They're just unlucky. I think Aston Villa and Gerrard, they're playing quite well at the minute. Let's see how he does in the future because he, again, similar to Rafinha, if he keeps maybe dropping 2-pointers, I could look to move on. There's loads of players at that price point. And then Dennis off the bench. Some will say it's lucky. I'm calling it a masterclass. Foden, I weren't sure if he was going to play or not. So I was like, well, I'll just take Iheanacho out, bring Dennis on. Worst case, I get Foden who plays 2 minutes or whatever, 1-pointer, or I get Dennis off the bench. And he managed to rack up an assist, won the penalty, scored a goal, 10-pointer, got 1 bonus point. Loving life. Good little transfer from me. And then, as you mentioned, Ivan Toney, a 9-pointer. He had 0 XG throughout the whole game, non-penalty, but he got the penalty and he scored it, as well as also taking all 3 bonus points in a 1-0 win, which is double decent. What do you think about the team, lads?
Of course, you're feeling good about life. If you're getting Dennis points from the bench, of course you're feeling good about life. I was telling Josh yesterday, Ben last season he got some dodgy Dallas points from the bench when he played against Man City, and this season Josh is depending on snow. How did you even know it's gonna snow to get Dennis points from the bench? So that was very dodgy. Van Dijk, that's a good transfer as well, because I think also the upcoming fixtures for them, the likes of Everton, I don't see them conceding, and it's also a threat from set pieces with Trent. And obviously, you definitely need a clean sheet for it to work, because sometimes they might not get attacking returns. Sanchez as well. You got him straight back in because maybe Foster wasn't playing as well, but I think he still would have played Sanchez. So that's a good. Brighton's defense is still looking very good. I think Brighton are keeping clean sheets. Wolves as well, they're keeping clean sheets. So I like those two teams. Rafinha, definitely agree with you. I'm starting to doubt that Leeds attack maybe until Bamford comes back. But the rest of your team, good enough. You've gone cheap up front, and it's helping you. It's actually helping you for sure, because the defenders, the big hitters. I think it's also a decent team going forward as well.
Yeah, I think Dennis is the third highest scoring forward on the game at the minute, which is just mental. I know the last 2 weeks would have really helped him out, but it's crazy to even say that. What's it, 13 game weeks in now?
Yeah, he's on 6 yellow cards though. That's a lot.
Yeah, he gets these yellows, but he gets his goals, Glenn, and that's what we're here. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
So shall we move on to your team, Glenn? If you want to share it.
I have it somewhere there.
Oh yeah, I've got it at the bottom. Here we go. So talk us through your team.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? So usually, let me start with my reasons. Usually the bench boost. I don't like the bench boost. I don't know how many of you like the bench boost, because a lot of planning goes into it. You're like, okay, I'm going to get a second goalkeeper, and then I'm going to get to defend. And then when it gets to that week, 3 of your players are out, and then you have to replan, and then you have to take a -4, a -8. These guys know I don't like taking hits. The moment you take a -4, -8 for your bench boost, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it just gets you back the points you're taking the hits on. So it doesn't really work. So this season I was like, you know what? I won't wait until the double game week. I saw it working for FPL Focal as well. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could go for it as well this week. And I did. I had 2 transfers. The plan was to either, because I know Trent is a must-own, but I've actually, believe it or not, I've never owned Trent in any of my teams the 6 years I've played FPL. I've never owned him at all. So I was thinking about this season, this week, should I get him in? Because I had 2 transfers. The plan was to either take out, because I had Sai in midfield who's injured. I was to take him out and then maybe bring in a cheaper midfielder, but I still couldn't afford Trent, even if I took out Sai and brought in a cheaper midfielder. I also still have Aubameyang in my team. Either take him out and bring in Trent for someone else. I still couldn't afford that. And I wasn't up to taking Rudiger and Walker out this week, because I felt like they would keep a clean sheet. So my 2 transfers this week was to bring in Townsend and the backup goalkeeper Guaita, who Ben has. So to have a second goalkeeper and have Townsend as well playing against Brentford as my bench boost, it did not work. So Schmeichel with 2 points. Schmeichel has only kept 1 clean sheet the entire season. That was in the opening day. I remember we still had that debate about Mesley and Schmeichel in game week 1. I think Mesley is ahead. Rudiger 2 points. I think Ben already pointed it out how it went with Rudiger. Walker 2 points, same. No clean sheet. It went in the last minute. Connor Cody, as I said, Wolves. I really like Wolves. Connor Cody worked for me, getting a clean sheet. He got a goal a few weeks ago as well. And Wolves are looking good defensively. Gallagher, I did bring him in alongside Smith Rowe like 3 weeks ago, and they both scored double-figure points that week. So I'm glad to still keep him. He seems to be playing every single 90 minutes as well. So Rafinha, disappointing. He could have been the guy to go out for Jota this week, because I had 2 transfers. I was thinking, should I take out Rafinha, bring in Jota, and maybe bring in another defender? Salah, always the captain, with an assist, not a goal. 4 goals without Salah contributing. That's a shame. And then the Arsenal boys. I know you'll be wondering why is Aubameyang there and all, but surely Smith Rowe headed in the ball, and the keeper saved it, and Aubameyang missed a wide open goal. So that would have been an assist for Smith Rowe and a goal for Aubameyang. So margins. Jimenez with 2 points. Ronaldo again. Josh, as a Man United fan, as you are, disappointing from Ronaldo starting on the bench. I did not expect that. Duffy as well starting on the bench. So when I say play my bench boost, I did not mean bench these guys. They literally took it literally like bench these guys. So Ronaldo and Duffy both getting benched. Townsend with 1 point and a yellow card. Was lucky not to get a red card for that foul on I don't remember which was, but it should have been a red card. And Ben White, the only contribution from my bench with 6 points. Guaita as well, disappointing. So I know Aubameyang, I'm thinking about taking him out. Probably he'll be out by next week. But the thing is, from last season he was really never getting himself in those positions to score. This season he's getting himself in the positions to score, but he's missing them, like the 2 penalties, that chance he had over the weekend. But I'm still thinking of taking him out. That's the only way I could fit in Trent, by taking out Aubameyang and dropping him and bringing in Trent at the back, maybe for a corner Cody when his fixtures turn. Again, also another reason I couldn't take out Aubameyang this week is because I didn't want to downgrade Aubameyang to a non-playing striker and then still have my bench boost. So I wanted to get rid of the bench boost and then think about downgrading Aubameyang to a non-playing striker. So that's how my team went, and that's my plan.
Yeah, it's interesting you play bench boost early, because obviously a lot of people save it for the doubles and stuff, but I understand what you mean when you're trying to get rid of it, because it is an annoying chip. Like, you have to plan your team around it really for like a good few weeks to build up that bench. Because, for example, if I bench boosted right now, I've got Ben Foster who's injured. I've got Keenan Davis who doesn't play. Like, it takes effort to get those players upgraded and stuff like that. Ben, what's your thoughts on Glen's team and how you thought the bench boost went?
I think it was a bit of a, you probably couldn't have seen like Duffy being benched, Ronaldo being benched at the start of the week. So yeah, I can see why you wanted to bench boost. It's not my personal sort of taste in playing FPL, because I like to try and maximize the points that I can get. But yeah, there's some unlucky picks in there. Obviously, I think it's a mistake probably not owning Trent up until this point. If you don't have him now, it's like, you've missed out on so many gains. So even if you're bringing him in now and he gets a load of points, it doesn't feel like now that you're gaining on anyone. So it's probably an insurance pick just to bring him in. But yeah, I think you've got the Wolves defender, which is differential. Not many people have, Cody at the back, which I think is a really good pick. Wolves are looking good at the moment, and Jimenez, like, he'll pick up points here and there. So there's a good foundation to the team. A couple of good differentials in there that will help you sort of climb the ranks.
Yeah, disappointing bench boost, but it also didn't work for me last season, and I played it in the double game week. So yeah, I guess sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough chip to play right, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll move on to this next segment, Ben.
Yeah, so before we go into sort of what we're doing next week, we're going to fill it in with Test Your Guest. Glen's not looking too happy. I think he'd rather just look on to what his team's doing next week.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've played this game several times before. I mean, Arsenal has taken away 15 years of my life, and this game has taken away an extra 5. That's how bad it is. And I've played it on a Friday, not on a Monday. I don't know how it's going to go. Even worse.
Monday night Test Our Guest. So if you are unaware what this is, Glen's going to have 60 seconds to answer as many FPL/Arsenal related questions as he can. Our highest score has to be set from an FPL juicer, I do believe. Maybe like an 8 or a 9. I'm not sure, but we'll go with it. So 8 or 9. It's a rapid score to beat, to be honest. It's going to be a tough one. But anything respectable is around the 3 to 5 margin, shall we say. Are we ready?
I'm ready. Glen, are you ready?
Yeah, I hate that clock. It ruins my days.
Okay.
Go ahead.
3, 2, 1. Which Arsenal asset has the most FPL points so far this season?
Smith Rowe.
Correct. Which Arsenal defensive asset has the most FPL points so far this season?
Gabriel.
Correct. How many clean sheets have Arsenal kept this season in the Premier League?
6.
Correct. Only 2 players have registered more than 1 assist in the Premier League so far this season for Arsenal. One is Emil Smith-Rowe, and who is the other one?
Saka.
Correct. Who is the only Arsenal player to have accumulated more than 2 yellow cards so far this season, other than Lokonga?
Tomiyasu.
Aubameyang. Which Arsenal asset scored the most points in game week 13?
Tomiyasu.
Correct. Name a keeper with more FPL points than Ramsdale this season.
Mendy.
Correct. Who is the most transferred in asset this week overall?
Jota.
Correct. Who is the most transferred in Arsenal asset this week?
Smith Rowe.
Correct.
8. Big boy score from Glen. He's absolutely so proud of that. Look at that smile.
Yes,
He's loving it. He's loving it.
So happy. So happy.
That's a huge score.
It's a
It's
nightmare.
double
This
decent.
game.
Double decent.
It's not easy. It's not easy up here, man. It's not easy.
Now you should be proud of that. I think you're if not, you're probably joint first or at least second for sure. Really, really nice score from you. But yeah, Ben, shall we move on, as I was saying beforehand, to the next segment?
Yeah, so let's talk about what we're doing for the next week. I'll go into my team first, and then we'll go to Josh's, and then to mine, to Glen. Sorry. So this is what my team's looking like this week. I don't plan on making any transfers at all this week. I kind of want to save the transfer and roll it and just see where I am come Saturday morning. So yeah, Gator in goal for playing against Leeds. I mean, I'm hoping for a clean sheet based on like how Leeds have been doing going forwards, but I'm also like hoping for Rafinha to get a return. So it's kind of like, what do I want more? So we'll have to see with that. The double up and the Chelsea boys at the back against Watford away. Now I know Watford, they can't defend, so they just attack as much as they can to other defences. So I'm hoping Chelsea hold firm. I'm anticipating a couple of changes in that Chelsea back line. I expect to see someone like Christensen coming into the back line. I don't see James or Rudiger being dropped, though, in my opinion. I know a couple of people talked about James maybe getting dropped for this game because it's an easy one and bringing in Azpilicueta. I don't know whether I see it myself, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, starting Trent and Cancelo. I think Liverpool could run right against this Everton team. It's starting to look a bit toxic over in the Everton sort of corner with Rafa Benitez. If the Liverpool fans go 1 or 2-0 up, they'll be singing Rafa's name, like that's for sure. And that might not go down too well at all. Salah, captain, set and forget. No need to worry about that. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how Son plays this week. Brentford at home. Brentford either really solid at the back or they concede a load of chances and it's a goal fest. So I'm kind of hoping for the latter and we'll see how Son does. It's probably one of them game weeks where I'm like, this could be one of the last ones to have Son in. I know Josh last week was thinking the same. You know, if he doesn't perform, maybe we get him out. With United having some good fixtures coming up and their new manager, it might be the time to sort of switch after this game week or even this game week to a Manchester United asset. Obviously, Rafinha, I just talked about. Jota, again, I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays in good form. So let's see if he can pick up another return. Tony, I mean, to be honest, it's not even a bad week to own Tony. Like Tottenham, defensively, I don't see them improving much more than we saw in the past few weeks. We know Conte's had a bit more time, but I don't expect to see instant results. Conte knows that as well. He said in like post-match presses that this team is a lot worse than he thought it was, and there's a lot of work that could be done. And I'm sure Glen is absolutely loving that this is how it is at Tottenham. Antonio at home to Brighton. Again, we're talking about how good Brighton are defensively, but I still thought, you know, Antonio, he's a player that could cause problems against anyone. He caused some problems against Ruben Diaz, but just didn't get a return. So I'm hoping to see some sort of return. We've got Livramento first on the bench yet again. Leicester at home. I think I benched him probably because Leicester scored 4 against Watford. So we'll have to sort of judge that. Saints haven't been looking too good in recent weeks. I've also got Smith Rowe on the bench. Man United away. I don't know. He could be first on the bench by the time the game week rolls around, but I just know how, like, you know, you can never tell where those games between like United and Arsenal are going to go. It could be like an Arsenal, you know, going well, but we've seen them. As soon as they come up against top quality opposition, they sort of fallen away. We saw that at Liverpool. So I'm kind of holding back on playing Smith Rowe this week. And then obviously we got Foster in on the bench as well. And that kind of rounds up the team there. Glenn, what are your thoughts?
First of all, you said Arsenal struggle against the big teams. I'm not sure United is a big team. Sorry, Josh. But yeah, you're right. We've only won there 4 times in Premier League history. I dread going to Old Trafford, even if they're on bad form, I don't care. We usually struggle still. There's a time we went there when Rashford was like 16 years of age and they still beat us. So that's how bad it is. I don't think we'll beat them. So it could be like a 1-1 draw or something. So I don't mind you benching Smith Rowe. The rest of the team, Chelsea again, defensive assets. I think Watford will score. I think the likes of Dennis and King up front, they're looking really good. I think they'll get a goal and maybe attacking returns from James. You're very lucky to have the Liverpool triple because I think they'll run over Everton this week. I feel sorry for Everton. That's not like a derby at all. That reminds me of the United City one. Like it's not going to be a derby. It's going to be one-sided. And Antonio surely is going to start scoring again soon. Tony away to Tottenham, not sure. I don't think a Conte team can concede like 1 or 2 goals. So maybe I could be tempted to start Livramento ahead of Tony, but up to you. But personally, I would start Livramento ahead of Tony because I don't think Tony will score against Tottenham. But the rest of the team looks good anyway.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I'll move on to my team. We'll fire through ours, and then because I know everyone's so excited to get their own team reviews. I see you in the comments. We'll get there. Don't you worry. We're getting there. Don't fear. We'll be there. Here we go. So here's my team for this week. We are. Oh, that's still Ben's team. Here's my team for this week. We got Sanchez in goal. West Ham away. Don't expect a clean sheet, but if I get one, I'll be happy with it. Trent, James, Cancelo, and Van Dijk. Obviously, I've got 2 free transfers to use this week, so there will be some chops and changes. I don't think Van Dijk will come out, though. I was thinking of going to Alonso. I still am thinking about it, but then I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like Van Dijk can outscore Jota for the next three weeks or so. I think that is a genuine possibility. So I'm not sure if I want to mix it up. If it is someone who's coming out for Alonso, it's going to be Van Dijk, but it's a decision that I need to make. Salah captain. Someone's asking who's the best captain. It's Mo Salah. There is no other better captain. He's just so consistent. Just keep it simple, because if he does go nuclear, like we've seen him go, you're going to be in the mud if you don't captain him. Son at Brentford at home. Again, I'm really interested in this. I've barely seen Spurs play under Conte because something seems to crop up with their postponing games, etc. Bit disappointed so far. Brentford and I think Leeds after this, or Burnley, one or the other. No, definitely Leeds. But yeah, it's just I tweeted out on Sunday before I knew it was postponed, saying if he doesn't perform today, I might have to get rid of him. And I think this same goes for Brentford, because he's a lot of money and Spurs don't seem to be really playing that well. Like we saw when they did score, it was like Reguilon and like Højbjerg and players like that. And Son and Kane not really getting involved too much, which is really frustrating. Gallagher and Rafinha playing each other. It's going to be fun watch that is, to have 2 attackers playing against each other. It's always good to see. Leeds seem to concede a load of chances, and Palace have been decent this season, but maybe they're drooping off a little bit, as we would expect come this Christmas period. Phil Foden, he'll almost certainly be my transfer out this week. As I mentioned, it could be for Jota, but that's only if I take Van Dijk out for Alonso. Other than him, I'll probably be looking towards maybe another City midfielder like Bernardo Silva or Gundogan. Equally, I could move to someone from United, like maybe even Rashford or Sancho. I still haven't made my decision yet, but United's fixtures are looking tasty, and I'm wanting to hop on that ASAP. Ivan Toney up front. I actually am looking forward to this game, Spurs-Brentford. Brentford play really, really well against the top teams. We've seen that already this season against Chelsea. I don't know how they didn't score in that game. Obviously, they gave Liverpool a good run for their money. So I think we'll see the same at at Tottenham. And we'll see if he can pick up some goals. Obviously, not been involved too much really in open play, but he's there at the right time, Tony, and that's all you need. I don't really care about his XG. He's one of those players which XG doesn't really go with him, because he's just such a clinical finisher. He scored so many penalties as well, which is an even bigger positive to have for a striker. Livramento on the bench, of course. Leicester at home. I see Leicester scoring, to be honest. They've looked quite good against Watford, although they weren't great defensively. If there's anyone that comes off, I imagine it'll be due to rotation, like maybe Cancelo or James. Obviously, Cancelo's on 4 yellow cards already, so next yellow card for him means he'll be suspended for a match. And then Dennis is also second sub this week. He's picked up a knock against Leicester and also Chelsea at home. I don't think I want to play an attacker against Chelsea anytime soon. So that's the team for me. 2 transfers in the bag. What would you 2 do with that team?
Oh man, take your pick. Take your pick, as Ray would say. Take your pick, man. Obviously, I'm sure you wish you'd have had 2 Liverpool players. That would have been easy for them to Jota if you didn't have 3. Yeah. I mean, your team looks good. I'd be tempted to just make 1 transfer and save the other one for later as well. So I'm happy with the defense. Maybe take out Foden for how much money do you have in the bank?
I want to say about $1 million. I can go Foden to Sancho, and I am tempted. I'm not going to lie.
Have you thought about Foden to Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, I thought about him and Gundogan, but it's just a case of when De Bruyne is back, when Grealish is back, when Foden's back. I feel Silva and Gundogan could get rotated. So it's one of those sticky ones, but there are 2 games within about a space of about 5 days. So whether those guys don't come back, there's a lot of points to be made in that time, isn't there?
I mean, yeah, Sanchez not a bad pick, obviously, because you don't have any United cover. So I wouldn't mind that anyway as well.
Awesome. Right, Glenn, we'll move on to your team and then we'll smash out some team reviews after this. So don't fear, we are getting there. We'll pull your team up right now. Here we go. Here's your team for game week 14.
So I usually have one playing goalkeeper over the years, but obviously since I played my bench boost, I now have 2 to pick from, and I've chosen Guaita because Leicester do not keep clean sheets. They literally concede like 2+ goals every single game. And Schmeichel, to make it worse, he saved the penalty in the Europa League. Who cares about that? He should have saved it in the league. At the back, I have Rudiger as well. Connor Cody at home to Burnley. I cannot ask for a better fixture than that. Walker away from home. I think he'll start again anyway. And Ben White against United. The bigger fixtures from last season as well. There's a capability and a possibility that it could end in a 0-0 draw as well. I think they could be goals because of the likes of Ronaldo, but if it ends in a 0-0 draw, Ben White is capable of picking up bonus points. I'm going to keep him there. He doesn't score, but in terms of passes and all that. Gallagher in midfield, as Josh said, with Rafinha, good game to watch that on tomorrow night. Salah is always the captain. Smith Rowe is there because I'm not sure who else to put in unless I make the sub this week. I only have one sub, Ronaldo and Jimenez. Ronaldo, a guy who haunted me for years back in the 2000s. I feel like he's going to do us again this week anyway. Jimenez up front against Burnley as well. On the bench, I have Aubameyang, Townsend, Duffy. I feel like Duffy will be benched again. I don't think he'll be put up against Antonio. Townsend, I don't think they'll return anything against Liverpool, especially not with Rondon up front. And Aubameyang, I'm thinking about taking out Aubameyang. I was thinking of bringing in Wilson against Norwich and Burnley, but Wilson is on 4 yellow cards. He could pick up a yellow card against Norwich and miss the Burnley game. So I don't want to take that risk. The other option is to join the Pookie party. You know, December is approaching. Can we join the Pookie party for 1 or 2 game weeks? Too risky. I'm not a fan of Norwich. That could be a possibility. The only way I could afford Trent next week and actually follow Ben's orders and Ben's advice is to take out Aubameyang this week and bring in Joelinton as a punt for 1 game. And then next time out, I could take out maybe a Walker and bring in Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's the only way because there's no other way of getting him in. I can't afford Vardy, let's say, from Aubameyang. If I bring in Tony, I'll still need another 2 transfers to fit Trent. So that's the only way. Bring in Joelinton for 1 week and then bench him from there. And then afford Trent up front. But that's how my team is looking. Salah definitely captain. If he doesn't play for some reason, Jimenez vice.
I'm not sure about the Joelinton transfer, Ben.
I was going to say, did you just say Joelinton?
I mean, so as to fit Trent at the back. And also, he has Norwich at home, so surely the last time he played at home, he did score. So for 1 week, and then I leave him on the bench for the other weeks.
You're asking a lot there.
That is sounding like desperate times if you're thinking about bringing Joelinton in.
What did you do?
In your situation, you've got what? 2? Have you got 2 free transfers?
No, I have 1. I used 2 last week.
Well, I'd probably see the value picks. You've already kind of got Wolves players, which makes it a bit more difficult. I'd maybe, if you're not going to play Aubameyang, just straight up, just put him down to like a 4.5 off the back. If you know you're going to sub him, and just have maybe like Duffy and Townsend up a little bit on the bench, and then you can work from there next week. And you've got you'll have a lot of money in the bank, sort of to know what you want to do. So if an injury crops up, say with someone like Smith Rowe, you can go bang, there you go. You've got like a 10, 11 million pound player you can put in midfield, or if there's sort of an injury at the back there, you can put in any defender in the game from there. So that's how I'd play it. I'm not sure if that's the direction you want to go. Maybe you want to save and wait and just have those 2 free transfers so you know for sure what you want to do. That might be the more sensible pick.
Yeah, I want Trent as soon as possible. That's the one transfer I want to make.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, just getting Aubameyang down to a 4.4. There's no point having a Joelinton or something like that, because over the long haul, his points can be worth that. Like, you got to value the points versus the money elsewhere, and I think in that case, the money will be much better to take. But yeah, we'll move on now. We're going to go through a few questions in the comments to get like these overall arching questions done, like Foden injury, all those sort of big ones that everyone's calling out, and then we will go to team reviews. I promise, we're not leaving you out. So we're going with Diong Chung here. Is Ronaldo worth the risk to hold and cap him versus Arsenal? Will he eventually get rotated under Rangnick? Glenn, we'll go with you first. As an Arsenal fan, do you think Ronaldo starts against you on Thursday night?
Yeah, no chance he gets benched twice in a row, even if Carrick was manager. And as I said, we usually struggle against Ronaldo, be it back in 2008 and not 2021. I do think he'll still score this week, but captaining, I mean, the defense we have right now have conceded like 4 goals in the last, apart from Liverpool game. If you minus the Liverpool game, we've conceded 4 goals in like 9 games before that, because this the likes of Ramsdale have kept 6 clean sheets in 10. So I'd say I don't think they'll get 2 goals or 3 goals around Riot. So captaining is a bit too much, but owning him, I own him as well. So I don't think captaining. I think there are better options this week.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's go through some other ones. Will Vardy play this week in midweek? Do you think he'll start then?
I think he will, because he's been that talisman. Obviously, I think his minutes will be much more limited going into this Christmas break. How many did he play at the weekend?
I think he played 90, to be honest.
Yeah, he played a full 90 with rest for the other boys who were playing up there. So there's always that risk associated with it. I think he still plays at least a part in the game. I think if you have him, there's no point transferring him out.
No, I think 70-80 in both midweek and weekend games at least, because we've seen when he's come out of the team, they haven't played the same, and if they looked good going forward against Watford. I know it is Watford, but I think they need to stick to that system. And I think Rodgers said in a press conference that he's quite happy with the balance of his team at the minute. So seems like he's pretty set on that as well. We'll go to a couple of questions here. King and Dennis, do you think they're good differentials? See, with your Aubameyang pick, these two could potentially be some cheap options that you could go to. Obviously, the next 2 games are a bit tough. I think they've got Chelsea and Liverpool in the next 2. Ben, as a non-biased Watford player owner, what would you say? Would you bring in King and Dennis? Is that really cheap striker?
Oh, I think having one of them is probably worth it based on how little value we're getting out of the strikers at the moment. So I think as a sort of enabler almost, which is kind of crazy, they might be worth it, and it might almost be worth bringing them in now, whilst not so many people have brought him in. Like you look at King, 35,000 people have brought him in, but 10,000 have transferred him out just because they're playing Chelsea and City in the next 2. So I think over the next couple of weeks, sort of bringing one of them in could be beneficial. You're obviously not going to get the points over the next sort of 2 weeks, but after that, there's always potential for them to get points against sort of the likes of Brentford, Burnley, Palace, and Wolves that they've got in the following sort of 4 games after that. So I think it's probably worth bringing in one of them at least. Who that may be, I'm not too sure. I haven't sort of looked at Wolves in depth and watched a lot of their matches this season, so I'm probably not best informed on it. But yeah, one of them coming in wouldn't be a bad shout at all.
Nice.
King is on penalties.
Yeah, King on penalties is a big shout as well. He scored one at the weekend. FPL Penguin in here with a little quote from Rodgers. He said if he plays in midweek, it's tough for him. So that is an interesting one. I think Leicester, I'm not sure, but I think they play Wednesday, Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So it is going to be a similar to their Europa League sort of run. I'd still see him getting minutes though. I think it's going to be tough. It's tough for him, but it's tough for Leicester to leave him out of their team as well. He also mentions about Reece James. A lot of people worried about Reece James. Is he going to be dropped? FPL Penguin thinks he's going to be benched versus Watford. Started for Chelsea 4 times in the last 11 days. And obviously, Reece James not had a great injury record really in his career. So there is potential there. And then we're going to go one final question, and then we'll get into team reviews. Should I get Maddison? 6.6 million. He's obviously got 2 assists and a goal yesterday. What's our thoughts, Glenn?
I mean, first of all, he should have joined Arsenal in the summer. He didn't. I don't know. He's been benched so many times. He always comes off. That's what I don't like about him. I mean, the fixtures, Southampton, I think he'll have Aston Villa away from home. 2 games from the next 2 are both away from home. And then I think I'd wait. I think there are better options in that price range. I think I'd wait. I think Vardy is the best option from Leicester, but usually people don't go for Vardy for some reason, maybe because of his price. But I wouldn't be getting Maddison right now. Obviously, he's on set pieces. That could be a good thing, but I'd wait for a couple of more weeks, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We're going to move on to the team reviews. Everyone's been absolutely craving them, so we decided to do it. Chuck it in midweek. We'll get all of our opinions on as many teams as we can. We'll go for as long as we can. If we don't get back to your team, we'll try our best to reply to it before tomorrow's deadline. But we do, unfortunately, have jobs. So we are busy men, unfortunately, in the DMs. So we'll go to Twitter first. I'll mix it between Twitter and Instagram. I told people to send them on both. So, we'll start at Twitter. We've got Shiv here. Glenn knows a bit about Shiv. He's been a loyal fan of ours for a while now. He's asking, does he go to Foden to Gundogan in this lineup? Looks like a really solid team, to be fair. What's your thoughts, Glenn?
Foden to Gundogan. I mean, it depends on how De Bruyne is obviously about to come back because I think his 10 days to 14 days is almost over anyway. I'd be tempted to save the transfer. This week. I mean, he has a decent bench in case anyone doesn't play. King, Livramento, both will be playing their games. So Foden to Gundogan this week, I wouldn't, because as Ben said, there's a chance it could be benched somewhere because there's many players in that team. I'd be tempted to save the transfer for this week because the rest of the team looks good.
Yeah, I think one thing that
sorry. I do understand Foden is dropping in value. Sorry, I do understand that Foden is dropping in value, but I don't know how much is being transferred out. So I'd be happy to take the 0.1 hit maybe because it's only 3 days.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that strikes me straight away with his team is the double Brentford. I think getting Mbeumo out, although it is tough at that price point, and Mbeumo's price point he sort of hasn't risen, whereas Gallagher and Smith Rowe, they've risen to like 6 million now. Who would you get in around that midfield point at the minute, Ben, and Mbeumo's price?
There's no one there. There honestly is no one at that price point that sort of takes my fancy. If I had to go there and sort of look at one, I'd almost say it's worth not and either downgrading to like a 4.5 and like saving the money and like upgrading elsewhere, or sort of like downgrading Foden to like, so he's got Jota
Maddison
as well. So yeah, to a Maddison maybe, and kind of trying to upgrade Mbeumo to one of them 6 million lads. Yeah, it's a tough one because the other 5.5 option that was popping was Damari Gray, and he's obviously fallen off, like we said he would. I know Kieran's not going to be too happy about that, but we said his sort of stats were unsustainable, and they've kind of proven to be the case. So, yeah, Mbeumo probably the one to move on. Maybe wait a week if he's got, how many free chances he said he had? 1.
I think by the sounds of it is 1. Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be a case of having to just wait it out this week, maybe play Livramento ahead of Mbeumo and kind of see where you stand after the game week.
Awesome. Right, we'll rattle through a few more. We'll do a little bit of Twitter first, and then we'll hop over to Instagram. So we've got FPL Funkhauser here. He's got a bit of Ramsdale, Trent, James Alonso, Cancelo. It's like the standard back four, that is. Salah, captain, Rafinha, Jota. He's gone Kane, Tony, and Antonio. Really decent bench as well. He's got 1 free transfer, 0.6 in the bank. What do we think, Ben?
Hold the transfer. Hold.
Hold.
Yeah. Really good team. I'd just leave it there and roll the transfer. Wait for next game week. See if you have any injury concerns or whatever, and go from there. Very good team.
Would you agree with that, Glenn?
Yeah, and even if Penguin pointed out, if James doesn't play, I mean, he has one of the best midfielders coming from the bench in Smith Rowe. So I'd be happy with that. And also the best goalkeeper he has him. So I'd be happy that I'm actually going to agree with Ben in that one as well. I think that team looks good.
Definitely. We'll go to Razid next. He's got a little 3-5-2 on the go, 1.6 in the bank. Backman, Trent, James, Cancelo, Gallagher, Salah captain, Smith Rowe, Rafinha, Cornet, Jimenez, Ronaldo. On the bench, he's got Hwang, Duffy, and Williams. So, again, a really strong bench as well. Obviously, I'd say Williams needs to be ahead of Duffy maybe in that bench order. For me, though, I'd maybe look at... I find it tough backing Ronaldo because I could easily see him being dropped again. I'm not going to lie for this Arsenal game. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think it's just too much money in the United assets. I feel like Sancho, Rashford, even Bruno or someone cheaper like that could maybe match, if not do better than Ronaldo in terms of returns. What are your guys' thoughts on the whole Man United attack debate? I think this Arsenal game is going to be interesting with obviously Ralph Rangnick coming into the club. What's your thoughts?
I mean, you have to wait and see how the new manager does. But as I said, I think he'll score anyway. And I think Ronaldo will start. I think he'll definitely start. There's this mentality thing where people think like it's Arsenal, like we have to start him, he'll score. And I do agree with that. I think he'll get some few chances in that game. Again, Conne, I did a prediction, I'm sure, with Josh yesterday, and I did predict Wolves 2 and Burnley 2, and that shocked Josh. I do feel like there's going to be some goals, and Conne is looking good. The rest of the team as well, he has all the value picks, Gallagher, Smith Rowe, Rafinha. The only thing, maybe wait it out again, and then let's see if Duff is going to start this week. If he doesn't, maybe I'll actually be looking to take him out. I'm sorry for an Arsenal player, Ben White, maybe in the next 2 weeks after we play United.
Yeah, I think Tomiyasu, potentially one of the best value picks going forward, playing right back for you guys. He looks like he gets forward quite a bit, gets some crosses in. He's certainly caught my eye at that sort of price point. But I think because for me personally, I've literally like all the premiums you can get, and Livramento, he just probably won't feature in my team. Is there anything you'd change, Ben, in that team?
In terms of other players, I mean, who would I be tempted to sort of play? I'd almost be tempted to kind of bump Williams up the bench for him. Newcastle Norwich, it kind of screams of a 0-0, doesn't it? Hwang as well, you could probably play him ahead of Smith Rowe. I think the fixture's probably a bit nicer for Hwang than it is for Smith Rowe, although you're then trusting the Wolves double up front. I think it's a decent team. There's obviously a lot of 6 million sort of midfielders in there. So you're kind of covering all the options right now, which is kind of safe, but I do rate it as well.
Yeah, it's a decent looking team there. We'll go over to Instagram because I know a lot of people have sent it over on Instagram. We'll go into, let's pick one. Anyone will do. We'll go to Zach Taylor here. Here we go. So he's gone De Gea in goal, Rudiger, Cancelo, Trent, James, Jota, Rafinha, Salah captain, Gallagher, Antonio, and Ronaldo. He's got a solid bench as well, with Livramento, Dennis, and Douglas Luiz. Is there anyone you guys would change in that?
I'm just trying to see the team.
Yeah, I don't think I can get it up without having to put it into general. There we go. We got it up a bit. Still really tiny, but we moved.
I mean, it is a decent team, isn't it? Like De Gea's a very sort of out there pick for keepers, but he does well, and he has done well in terms of FPL scoring so far this season. I mean, how many I wasn't listening when he said how many transfers he's got.
I'm not sure if he actually mentioned it, to be honest, but I think the overall consensus with his team is that it's really good. Personally, for me, I would not change anyone in that team this week. It looks decent. His bench is solid. I think you're looking good for this week. Roll the transfer and you'll be sweet. We'll move on to Ollie Brennan. I've seen him in the comments, so it's only fair. He's got Ramsdale in net, Cancelo, Trent, Rudiger, James, Rafinha, Salah, Gallagher, Tony, Vardy, and Antonio. The bench consists of Cornet, Duffy, and Allen. Glenn, what's your thoughts on that front three? We've seen the strikers are not performing too well this season, but they are 3 of the best this season so far, aren't they?
Yeah, Vardy, top scorer, 9 goals, differential, massive differential. Antonio as well, very, very good. Tony, a lot of people have Tony away at Tottenham. I know a lot of you have had him for weeks. I don't think he'll deliver against Tottenham, but I mean, again, it's Tottenham. Tottenham can be Tottenham sometimes. Cornet, Duffy, Alan. Again, I'm happy to keep that team the same because it's very important to save a transfer or two in this period of time because you never know. This 1 week, we could have some confirmed and postponed games, let's say, on the weekend. It's also very important to have a good bench. And if any of those players doesn't play, you could have Cornet in. Again, same with Duffy. Let's see if he's going to play this week. If he doesn't, then we'll be looking to change him with the 2 transfers maybe next week. So again, I'm happy to keep that team as it is.
Awesome. We'll do one more and then we're going to have to wrap things up because Ben's a busy man. He's got football training tonight at 8. We go to Kieran De Silva, as I know it's Ryan Wings. in the comments. He's got Ramsdale, Trent, Alonso, Cancelo, Smith Rowe, Gallagher, Foden, Salah, Rafinha, Jimenez, Vardy, and then a strong bench of Livramento, Armstrong, and Duffy. The clear and obvious thing is Foden. Is that the guy you'd come transfer out this week, Ben?
Yeah, I'd probably look to do that. It's interesting that he's got last season's kits on his FPL team, which is the first thing I noticed. But yeah, Phil Foden, sort of maybe Jota is a kind of easy one to go for, and one you don't really have to think about too much. I'd also consider, Gundogan. He produced a 1.3 XG against West Ham, which is pretty decent. Maybe Bernardo as well. City, obviously, they're low on options in the midfield, which means, higher probability that the players are going to start. So, yeah, looking for one of those sort of free options that I mentioned in that midfield.
Yeah,
I was like wondering. I'm glad you noticed that. I was wondering, like, which Duffy is this that I don't own? There's a second Duffy as well. So I noticed that as well. Good team as well. Jota maybe from Foden.
Awesome. So yeah, what we'll do, I'll go on TikTok live after this, and I'll reply to as many people as I can in terms of the teams. I've got a free evening, so yeah, that wraps up this live. We want to thank Glen for coming on. We appreciate you coming on. All his links are down below, so make sure you check him out. He makes some great content and some good FPL content as well for you to feast your eyes on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And since he has football training, I wonder how much he would be on FPL. 4.5 midfielder. I could get him in. I could do with him in my team.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take being on the game as a start, to be honest. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you again to Glen for coming on. We've left all of his links down below. And as always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
I've been Glen.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.